It's Thursday, June 25th, and today I talk with Bruce Harple about the Power Platform. We take an example app that he's building for employee engagement, and we talk through the different components that are a part of the Power Platform. Did you say that real quick? And focusing in primarily on Power Apps. I hope you enjoy this. Hello and welcome to the Three Will Podcast. Today I have Sir Bruce Harple here with me. Hello, Bruce
Hey,
Harple.
good morning, Danny. Glad to be here.
Glad to have this extra time here with you. I know we spend lots of time together day in, day out. And today I'm looking forward to finding out a little bit more about your Meagle and finding out you're refreshing some of your skills here. I love it. I love it. Good stuff. So let's go ahead and get started with this topic. I almost want to call this what happens when a COBOL developer finds Power Apps, or you can teach an old dog new tricks, right?
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So give us a little bit of background about what you'd like to talk about today.
Yeah. So, Dan, you mentioned Meagles, which is something that Three Will we started doing this year. Which is really kind of giving each individual a chance to set some kind of a growth goal each quarter, right? And for us to enable people to take the time, to grow personally, professionally, whatever they choose. And as I started thinking about kind of what I wanted to focus on, I mean, there's a lot of areas I could have gone, right? But I mean, as you know, I mean, I started my career, back in the day, right, in the 70s and 80s as a COBOL and assembler developer, right, working for EDS. And I used to love it. I used to love writing code. I used to love debugging, troubleshooting. Just had a lot of passion around that.
We read about you guys in history class, so yeah, I think I remember that.
That's right. Back when it was mainframe computer, right? Which still live. There's still COBOL and assembler out there for sure.
Hey, that's when I started at PricewaterhouseCoopers. That's when the first language that they had us learn, because there was more COBOL out there than anything else. So.
Absolutely. Well, and I mean, I know obviously all that has changed, right? The development platforms and the tools, even the code, certainly dramatically changed, since then. And I haven't kept up as a hands-on developer, as you know. But Microsoft talks about this new thing in Microsoft 365 called the Power Platform, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's supposed to be this platform, that a business user can use. Create solutions, right?
Even old COBOL developers could use it.
Even old COBOL developers can pick up this tool and create applications. And it's really targeted for, I think primarily more simple line of business applications. But it piqued my interest, right? So so part of me is saying, well, let me prove whether that's really true or not. Can a business user really pick up the Power Platform and create solutions, right? On that platform. So, I thought this would be a good topic for this podcast. And maybe what we could do each quarter, Danny, is maybe part of what I'm doing is kind of providing an update on what I've learned, right?
That's great.
Because I would consider myself more a business user at this point in my career versus a developer, right? So I'm a non-developer for sure.
That's awesome. And I love these things where you have somebody's first experience with using some of these technologies, because it's just good information. It's almost like you're doing a little primer on what you need to know as a COBOL developer to pick up, the Power Platform. So good stuff. Get us started. So what was this whole process like?
Yeah. So what I did is I kind of just started out just trying to understand, what is the Power Platform, right? What does it include? And it includes, 4 key components. There's Power Apps, right, which is kind of what I decided to focus on. So for Power Apps, the idea there is you have kind of this rapid, low-code development environment, right, to create custom apps.
Yep.
And the beauty of it is when you create something, when you create an app in Power Apps, it really is already kind of web enabled and mobile enabled, right? So it's already out of the box, will run on any device, anywhere, any device, right? Which is kind of cool, right?
Nice.
I don't have to worry about developing a web app and then figuring out how do I make that thing work on a mobile device. It's going to work that way.
So that's sort of built into the framework.
Yeah, built into the framework.
Nice.
And so there's also Power Automate, which is really just automating workflows, right, between applications, between services. And with what I'm doing, as I kind of get through kind of building an app, I'll probably throw some Power Automate in there at the end, right? And try to have some simplistic workflows.
Mm-hmm. And that's the replacement for flow, right?
That's right. Replacement for
Gotcha.
flow.
Yep.
Yep.
So that's
And
number
then
two.
the
What's
third
number
tool,
three?
pardon me?
What's number three?
Number three, Power BI,
Okay.
right? BI being business intelligence. So, that kind of is the analytics and insights component here, right? So, if I build an app that's collecting, data of some kind, I could put Power BI on top of that data, slice it and dice it and get different views into that I can share with others, right? And then the fourth element, piece of this is Power Virtual Agents, right? So, this is all about creating chatbots, right?
Okay.
Chatbots being, little, code snippets that can go out and do certain things for you kind of behind the scenes, right? So, those are the four elements of the platform, right? The Power Platform. And again, what I focused on is Power Apps.
You forgot the fifth one, which is Power Builder, right? Now, does that bring back that? This is where we connect, right?
There you go.
This Power Builder was one of those things that sort of came soon out. That was one of those initial tools that was out there. So I was just everything's Power. I was like taking my notes here, and it's like Power this, Power this. Where's Power Builder?
Yeah, that was one of the first client server based application development platforms, right? Wow.
Yep. Did that sort of jog some memories out?
But not good memories, Danny.
Yep. So go ahead. Sorry, I just had to add that. Just like the next thing to add.
Yeah. So what I thought I'd do, Danny, is maybe just kind of walk through 50,000 foot level kind of what's in Power Apps, right?
Yep.
And then I started tinkering with a little application, and I thought I could at least show a little bit of what I got, and kind of what it took to get to where I am.
Cool.
So
this is like a little line of business application that you ended up you're building, probably something that we can try out within 3Will.
Yeah. So actually, it's an employee engagement survey.
Oh.
So it's a way for us at the end of the year to kind of have a survey where we can kind of assess where our what our employees think about 3Will and areas that we can improve upon and just their careers and
nice.
So and I got a few questions out there now, but a lot more work to be done on it. But I thought it's that way it's something that we could potentially use internally. So,
very nice.
So kind of the foundational pieces of Power Apps. So one is the data sources, right? So if you're going to build an application, you're typically going to have to build it with some kind of back end data store, right? And the nice thing about Power Apps is that data store could be in Excel, which will actually be my data store for what you'll see here in a minute. It could be SharePoint, right? So back in SharePoint lists. There's something called a common data service, which is a more baseline kind of relational data store. And then obviously there's SQL Server, right? SQL Server being more something that might be more appropriate, something that's got higher volume, right? And you need to take advantage of a more powerful database management system like SQL Server.
Yep.
So, a lot of different back-end data sources, right? And that's key, right? And making that simple, right? Making that connection simple. And they also have, connectors, right? So a connector is just, it's kind of a bridge between your app and some data source or workflow or dashboard. And they've got Microsoft has 270 plus connectors already that you can leverage. So an example of a connector would be, for me to store data in SharePoint, right? And retrieve data in SharePoint, or I can push data to Outlook or pull data from Outlook. I can do the same thing with YouTube, Salesforce, MailChimp, right? So all these connectors that are already there that you can leverage. You don't have to build the connector, right? It's already there for you to use.
Is that using ODBC?
Boy, Danny, I don't know.
I'm just trying to bring up old technologies, Bruce.
Yeah, that's a good one, actually, right?
No, but seriously, it sounds like this is what's that?
API based for sure. Yeah.
It sounds like this is nice, sort of like for prototyping something out. You could use like an Excel, and then once you've got it nailed, what you want to do, then you can move to SQL Server or move to a SharePoint list based on, how number of people accessing it and other requirements that come into play.
Yeah, no, and that's a great point, Danny. I mean, the way it's designed is you can change that back end data store, as you need to scale, right? And as you need to have performance requirements, you can switch the back end data store pretty easily, right? Without changing your front end, right?
Yeah.
Or with minimal changes to your front end. That's the beauty of it.
As ThreeWill moves to hundreds of thousands of employees, you can scale it up.
Yeah, and you'll see the app that I'm working on, this employee engagement survey, the back end data store is Excel, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a pretty simple survey. It doesn't require a ton of data, and that made sense for me to kind of start with that.
Yep. Yep. Cool.
And then the other thing, the other piece of Power Apps, right, is there's something called Canvas app, right?
Okay.
So, and Canvas apps is kind of where you kind of create the UX, right, the user experience. And Canvas, you can kind of think of an artist, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can choose to start with a blank canvas, right? I got a blank screen in front of me, and then you just start dropping in different UX controls on that canvas, right?
Yep.
Whether it's a text box, whether it's a box that you're going to capture data, whether it's a set of whether it's a drop down list thing, or whether it's radio buttons, whatever it might be, right? You can start with a blank canvas, right, and build it from there and connect it to a backend data store or data source. Or you can they have something called model driven apps, right? And that's kind of where you start with your data model, right? And you kind of tell Power Apps, I've got this data model, and this is what I want to use to I want to now create the front end, to interact with that back end data model.
Yeah.
And automatically kind of bring it in and create kind of a starting UX for you, right? So, a lot of flexibility there. Now, for me, so the other thing, Danny, is when you go into Power Apps, there's all kinds of templates, right? I mean, they have a whole library of starting templates. So for me, like when I started on this employee engagement survey, I started with a template that they had, which was great, because it gave me a jump start.
So they had something that was like a survey or an employee engagement survey that was a starting point for you.
That's right.
Now that's my kind of development right there.
Yeah. So maybe what we'll do, Danny. So let me.
Show and tell time.
Yeah, let me share my screen here. Let me see. We'll tell you what. I will share my desktop, and I'm going to go over to Chrome here. Yeah. So this is my canvas. What you're looking at right here, right? You see the employee engagement survey. That's my canvas. And so what I can do is I'm going to run what's there today. So if I hit this, so this is it, right? I hit get started. It tells me a little bit about what I've got. Got 5 questions. What is your practice? And you're familiar with that, right? I'm an innovation practice. Are you proud to work at ThreeWill? No. Well, I better answer definitely there. This was kind of one of the default questions. Obviously, I'm not going to keep this one in our survey, but we've got that. You see yourself working here in a year? Yes. I can say love it at ThreeWill. Bam. Done. So
cool.
Pretty simple, right? And for me, I needed to kind of start with something simple. And even when I started this, there is a back end data store, right? So if I click over here, so this is in my OneDrive, and this is where it's pulling, the questions, right?
That's awesome, Bruce.
These. Let me get a refresh this. Here's the questions, and then here was kind of the choices, right? So for question 1, I had. You remember these were my choices, right?
Yeah, nice.
And then the responses are kind of over here, as you collect the responses, right? So, and it was interesting when I And let me go back to the app here. Where is it? Here. I mean, when I first started this, when I picked the template, I actually didn't know that it already had created this data store in Excel for me on the back end. And I was in here, like if I go down here on my left, this is kind of my navigation. Like, so there's question one, and then if I expand that out, so, and I was changing stuff over here and it wasn't changing my questions. And I was like, what the heck is this thing doing? Because I didn't know,
Ah,
they
you didn't know
had,
it was hooked up to the back end.
and I finally poked around enough and said, oh, wait a minute. There's a data store that's, got the question, got the choices. And then you can see, like if I click through the different pieces here, you can see it's highlighting, these are all the components, that are on here, right? Each, and then here's my radio buttons, right, that I've got here. And then, kind of within each one of these, if I go to the right, you can see I have different properties here, right?
Nice.
So I can control, some of the properties of that text box, right? So, I mean, it's one of those things, Danny, where you definitely, and I took, I mean, there are some good, learning, modules out there that Microsoft has, Pluralsight has, and I did a few things, but I'm kind of let me just get in there and poke around kind of guy.
Yeah.
So it helps if you're curious and you're willing to do that.
Yep.
It's not always easy and intuitive to figure out how to. Well, changing things isn't so bad, but if you wanted to add things, like I added these radio buttons, and it took me a while to figure that out. Maybe if I'd taken more training, I would have been more efficient at it. But I chose to take some training and then to dive in because I was curious and wanted to kind of play around and get some things going. So
this is great. This is great. I could see like I could see how for like our client, I mean, because we're typically helping folks with, transforming, so getting stuff over onto Microsoft 365 and then, setting up the digital workplace. And I could see this as like a part of what we're teaching, like for the no code, low code line of business solutions that need to be maintainable and change over time.
right.
This is a great thing for because part of this is just going to be training that power user community to be able to use these tools.
Yeah,
and take advantage of these tools.
Yeah, and if you think about, Danny, we talk about, our customers today, the way customers innovate today, especially business users, the tool of choice for innovation is Excel.
Yeah.
Right. We describe it as the Swiss Army knife for business.
Yep. Yeah.
Right. And think about that. If you took an Excel spreadsheet, right? So I chose to build a Canvas, app, right? But if you did a model-driven app and you had an Excel spreadsheet and you wanted to kind of get more of a front end on top of it, and then you wanted to layer BI on top of that as well, right?
Yep.
To be able to kind of present it in a more dashboard kind of way, man. I mean, the platform for those kind of business users, that are having to go in and handcraft Excel to put a UX on the front of it that more than one person can use. You have to put some flow with it. You have to put a dashboard on top of it. I mean, for that, there's huge value and opportunity here, right? I mean, is it super simple to use? I wouldn't say that necessarily for sure, but the potential's there for sure. I think there's tremendous opportunity. I know Microsoft's goal is to create more quote unquote, solution developers, right?
Yeah.
Through this platform, put tools in the hands of business users to kind of create their own line of business apps. So,
where are you to the point where you're looking at sort of like where this gets deployed or using some of the other stuff like Power Automate, Power BI, the virtual agent stuff?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of next, right?
Yep.
Is to publish this because there's a publish step that you can go through to actually publish it. So yeah, that's kind of coming. Well, I want to kind of build this out some more.
Perfect.
Get it published where I can get others to poke at it.
Yep.
And then at the end, I might add a flow so when somebody completes a survey, a notification goes off to HR to let them know somebody's completed a survey. And then with the survey results, that's a great opportunity to put some BI on top of that, right? And create a little dashboard. So, as a leadership team, we can slice and dice, the survey content, right, and understand, what people are, what feedback they're providing to us. So yeah, that's later on. Yeah, and for me,
That's
Dan, you
great.
kind of get to this point, right? Finding the template, figuring out how you're connected to Excel, starting to change some of the questions around. I can tell you, I didn't invest more than a couple of hours to get where I am, right?
Nice.
So yeah, from that perspective, I got pretty far in a short period of time. So if someone was heads down, focusing on this for, several hours a day, for a week or two, you can get a lot done. And I'm sure, like anything else, you're gonna get more efficient as you work with the tool. So
We have just proved you can teach an old dog new tricks. There it is,
you teach
people.
no dog new tricks. You might be a little
You,
bit slow.
you saw it
Starting
live.
out.
So great. So this will be like a part one of this series, and then
Yeah.
next time we'll get together. You've got sort of what is, I guess, for your me goal for this next quarter. What is it to add on Power Automate, add on Power BI? What are the goals to sort of get people prepped for the next one that we do of these?
Well, I mean, my next quarter's goal was really to kind of get a certification around this.
Okay, cool.
Which I'll do that, but I think I want to keep pushing this forward, right? I think probably I want to get this app built out a little bit more, maybe add a flow on to the end of it.
Nice.
Something like that. So just want to keep working on it, chipping away at it a little bit at a time.
Cool. That's great. I love these little sort of build them up types of demos. And yeah, maybe even next time as you go through that certification, give us some pointers on that, because I'm sure people would be interested in that as well. Sort of like what was the exam, what was the certification exam, anything you learned there. So this is great. It's and you've seen other tech companies do this, which is everybody needs to keep their hands dirty, because if you're so far away from ever doing development, everything sort of just looks easy. And I think it's just great that you're continuing to I know it's this is a low code, no code type of thing, but there's
Right.
As I tell Austin and as I tell other people at Three Will all the time, and different people that I work with, ain't nothing easy when you're doing it for real. You got, especially where you've got this demo, now you need to deploy it, and then what happens if you need to make changes to it?
Right.
There's always little things that you need to learn, and you're reminded of that. That ain't nothing easy when you're doing it for real. So I appreciate this time with you, Bruce. Look forward to getting together with you next quarter. Thanks for keeping your hands dirty. I think that's a wonderful thing. Keeps us engaged. It's great to learn new things, and it's great to see Microsoft's direction with this as well. This is powerful stuff because
I know it is, and I've enjoyed getting in. I think I just dipped my toe right at this point. I need to kind of get up to my ankles next time.
We've seen so many times where we help a company deploy SharePoint and the rest of Office 365, and nowadays Microsoft 365. And we come back maybe a couple of years later and we see all these applications that they've built themselves. And that's good stuff. I mean, that's really, you're teaching them, this to enable them to have this as part of what they're doing is a great thing. Even if we're not the ones building it, to give them these capabilities, I think is a wonderful service to provide people.
Absolutely, man.
Yep. All right. Thanks everybody for listening, and have a wonderful day. Thanks, Bruce.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Work Together Better podcast. We're available on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, and TuneIn. If you're looking for a partner to help you craft a modern digital workplace on the Microsoft Cloud, please come by and see us at threewill.com. That's the number 3 spelled out, WILL.com. Thank you and have a great day.